do an asterisk, which means anything could go there, and then BE. And so that brings us those options. We're saying instead of BE, we want to select the first of every object. You can do 0, 1. And now we'll select all the objects that have 0, 1 in it. So this can be extremely useful for selecting objects by name. It also illustrates the point of why it's important to name your objects. If, say, for example, you're building a Roman Colosseum and you have thousands of pillars, you don't want them to be cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, and so on. What you want it to do is you want to break things up logically. Break it up on layers or based on height or sections of the Colosseum or whatever makes sense. But you want to organize things, and we'll be getting into that a little bit later in the DVD. Basically how important organization is to a successful rendering and a successful scene. Alright, now in addition to that, just a couple other areas worth noting here is if we make this a little bit bigger, you'll notice that we have faces here. This can be extremely useful in complex scenes, especially if you're coming from another package or you're getting data from another package. Like say, for example, you get an architectural model from, say, SketchUp or, say, Rhino or actually almost any package. Often those packages have to tessellate or subdivide the surface to export it. Sometimes if the settings aren't configured properly, you end up getting simple objects that are very, very complex. And so you'll have a simple box that has thousands and thousands and thousands of faces. So as a general rule, the more faces, the slower things are going to go. And we're going to be getting into faces and what all that means in terms of performance and so on a little bit later on. But just know that one general rule for now. So in this case, if we click on where it says faces, it can organize everything based on how complex it is. So in this case, we can see that our spheres are 960, whereas our pyramid is only 8. Now, in addition to organizing things based on face and name, we can also do by color. So if you color code your objects, you can select them easily there as well. We can also do by type. Now, we only have geometry in the scene, so it doesn't matter that much. But further on, we're going to show a couple of these other options and filters and ways that you can optimize this screen right here to only show what you're really interested in. Okay, so if we get out of the select by name dialog, that will basically do it for this section on selection. I encourage you to play around and get comfortable with it because we're going to be using it quite a lot. And we'll show a couple more techniques throughout the rest of the DVD. But first, we're going to be taking a look at how selection can be applied to our building.